you're watching this probably because you have a presentation coming up. Maybe it's a big one or maybe a small one at your office. Doesn't really matter. You're here to knock it out of the park, and we're going to help you do that today. We're going to talk about 3 things you can do before you present that are going to help you, and 3 things while you're presenting. So make sure you stick around, because today we got my good friend Mike Pacchione in the house. What's up, Mike? How are you,
Hey,
man?
buddy. I'm good.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Time out. So you're not going to know this, but I wanted to tell you while Mike is frozen here, Mike is one of the most gracious people when it comes to helping people with their presentations. He works with Nancy Duarte. He helped me in 2012 create a presentation that really changed my life and helped me in my speaking career. So he's not going to tell you himself how awesome he is, but he's pretty awesome. So we'll just pick right back up where we left off. Time in. So I'm glad you're here today, because we got a lot of people who are watching right now who need some help. And if you have a presentation like tomorrow, stick around, because at the end we're going to give you some advice for, okay, if this is like the crunch time for you, we're going to help you out. But let's get into it. So, you help a lot of speakers. You talk about this quite a bit. What are some things we can do to best prepare ourselves before we get there and we have to present to, help us position ourselves for a win?
Yeah, totally. So here's the deal. If you're getting asked to present somewhere, it's probably not material that you don't know. Like, you're probably pretty good at it. You probably know a lot about it already. Mm-hmm. When you were presenting, what was that? That was it was free.
It was a presentation about how to use free in your business.
Yeah. You knew everything about that already.
That's what I was known for, kind of.
Right.
Right.
So the hardest thing in the world is figuring out how to edit that down. What am I supposed to say? I could talk about this. I could talk about this. I could talk about this. The thing that you need to go back to is who was in your audience. Like, what you're actually doing is serving your audience. At Duarte, we say that the audience is the hero. So the audience is the Luke Skywalker, the Jerry Maguire, the Katniss Everdeen, whomever. Mm-hmm. The audience is the hero. So we need to do everything in deference to them, which means we need to obsess about them. Think about what their pain points are. Think about what they're excited about. Think about the stuff that depresses them. Think about whether they're ideas people or if they're execution people. Mm-hmm. When we start thinking through things like that, then we can start filtering our material accordingly.
Okay, so we're not even thinking about what we're going to say first. We want to understand who we're going to say things to first. What if you're in a small office setting, instead of a large stage, and it's like your cohorts, your friends at work. Yeah. How do you position yourself to think about them for and related to the content you're going to talk about?
Yeah, totally. So that can be tricky, because a lot of times we fall into the trap of, like, this is my personality at work and I must be like that all the time.
Right.
But again, like, when you're getting on stage, or in this case, stage is maybe like a boardroom or something, mm-hmm. You're the one in charge. So you need to, like, really think through, what do these people, one of the great things, if you're doing it with coworkers, presumably you know what's hard for them. You go to the water cooler with them. You get coffee with them. You hear the stuff they complain about. You hear the stuff where, like, gosh, I wish I had more time. Those things, if you can catalog those things and say, okay, well, what's Pat stressed out about right now? If I can just position it as, like, Pat's stressed out about this, let me meet him here, win. Like, that's the whole point.
Yeah. So, okay, that's great. In that setting, you can think of the individuals.
Yeah.
Which is great. And when you're in a larger setting, you could likely think of the group as a whole. Yeah. They're at a conference for a specific reason, right? You want to teach them those things. Okay, so understanding the audience, that's number one.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
So conferences can be tricky because sometimes people go because they're like, I want to hear Pat Flynn talk. Other times it's like, I don't know who Pat Flynn is. There are 3 people at this time. He's got the shortest name. I'll go to his, right? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So they're not necessarily a fan of yours. They might not know the topic. So this is where it can get tricky. One of the things you can do is subdivide the audience. So think through, I'm going back to 2012 right here, but you're talking about free. It's like think through someone who knows about the idea already and talk to them at some point. And you might actually say that out loud. So for those of you who are using this already, here's some ideas.
Cool.
For those of you who have never thought about giving something away for free, here's some things you can do. And if you actually subdivide the audience that way and announce, I am talking to you right now, oh, that's a win.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so that goes a little bit into, like, what are you going to say exactly?
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for, okay, the content in this presentation? How can I structure it in a way that is going to be useful and, I don't know, entertaining and not bore people to death? I think people are scared of just boring people.
Yeah, there are a few mistakes that people make a lot. One of the big ones is giving a how presentation instead of a why presentation. So your audience, even if your presentation is called something like how to monetize your marketing. Like it literally starts with the word how. You need to begin by giving the audience why that matters.
Why is that important?
Yes. So tell a story of the marketer who is putting too much time into their work because they haven't figured out how to use a certain website well. Like start off with the why. Start off with the pain point, why this matters to you, audience. Do that, and then get into the how.
Okay, so when preparing for a presentation, number one, who's in that audience? But number two, like, why are they there? Why do they need to listen to this?
Yeah.
Like, what's gonna be the transformation at the end, right?
Yep.
Like, what do you get out of this? You had started to talk about like, okay, talk about an example, and this is something you taught me, which was like use stories, right? Is that a great I think a lot of people worry about, okay, they know the information, but just how do I start? Like, what's the first thing I should say?
Yeah.
How do you recommend?
Yeah, this is my favorite thing. I took journalism class. Like, did you do journalism?
I did not.
Okay. So journalism school, if it still exists, journalism school, they taught you the lead is the most important thing. And there's like a great Abe Lincoln quote. I'm going to get it slightly wrong right now, but it's something like, if I had 8 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 7 sharpening my axe.
Yep.
Something like that,
Yeah,
right? Obsess about how you start. So many people get nervous when they get on stage. If your beginning's awesome, that propels everything. You look out at the crowd and they're enraptured. Like,
Yeah.
wow, what's he talking about? If you start well, it gives you confidence. So obsess about the way that you start. I love beginning with a story that's related to the topic. Great thing to do is to start with something that you screwed up, and then show the transformation throughout the course of the talk. The first line, I think, is essential. And so many of us start with, hey, it's really nice to be here today. I came all the way down from Portland, Oregon, da-da-da.
Oh.
And, like, I get it. Like, I've done that before. Like, I get why people do that. I don't think it's bad to say your name or anything, but the power of just starting is incredible. I gave a talk last year. I was really proud of how I started it. The first line. So I get introduced, walk out on stage, and I had to give myself a big pep talk in order to do this. But walk out on stage, and as soon as I hit the middle, just deliver the first line. The first line, it's a humbling moment in life when you realize you've turned into an a-hole. Can I say that?
Yeah, you can say that. You can say that.
It's a humbling moment. I don't know. I'm like not even cursing. I'm like, can I say that?
Can I censor the censor?
Yeah, it's a humbling moment when you realize in life that you've turned into an a-hole. Like, ooh,
Yeah,
and the
well,
audience is like,
ooh. Now I'm like, what are you talking
yeah,
about?
what are you talking
So
about?
I'm-
And then
I'm
I
in.
drop you into the middle of a story. So stories are great. Great first line. It could be other things too. The DeLorean certainly falls in that category.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of went all out with that, and that was maybe more just me trying to live out my childhood dream.
But what about, like, we talked before, once upon a time you're going to do magic.
Yeah,
I don't know if you started a speech that way.
we did magic to close a presentation
Okay.
once, which was interesting. I got training from not a musician to teach me magic,
Yeah.
a magician to teach me magic, and it was a lot of fun. It really, I learned from you to just be creative and
Yeah.
try different things, and that I've kind of maybe taken that a little bit too far, but that's become a part of who I am, from tripping on stage on purpose to bringing out the DeLorean at one point to, at certain events, I know that there's a crowd of people who dance. And so, hey, I'm going to go out and dance too.
Right. Interact with the whole audience.
And now I'm in,
Yeah.
right? So the start is key. I 100% agree. I mean, when I rehearse, I rehearse the beginning more than anything. Because like
Yeah.
you said, once you get going, I mean, I'm kind of on autopilot at that
Yeah.
point after.
Yeah.
So even the first minute or two, just rehearsing that part is huge. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the before. What about like while on stage? What are some
Yeah.
things that we can do to better kind of set ourselves up for a win there?
Yeah. So a lot of people get nervous, and that's okay. And actually, I would say it was good. In most parts of life, when things matter, you're nervous about them.
Yeah, that's a great way to frame it.
Yeah, if things matter, you're nervous about them. When I asked my wife out for the first time, if I'd just been like, I don't really care, like that's giving myself permission to just not put my heart into it.
Yeah.
So anybody who's listening and like, oh, I get really nervous. Okay, but let's talk about how to quell that. One of the issues that comes up sometimes, or that happens a lot really, is because you're nervous, you talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, and you don't take a breath. And that just makes you more nervous. It's pretty crazy. You can actually sometimes hear people exhale. So one of the things that you can try to do is to talk in shorter sentences, even if it's not a sentence, even if you literally had a sentence that if you typed it out was like 14 words long, you would probably want to take a breath in the middle of that sentence.
Really?
Yeah. So it's not that it's not that you should ever be like talking and counting like that was one word, that was a second, that was a third, but you want to shoot for taking a breath every 7 to 10 words.
And the purpose of this is to
It gets rid of the nervousness in you. It allows you to project your voice more.
Oh, okay, so it's almost training yourself to slow down in a sense.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that too. I used to do that. I watched some of my earlier presentations and I ramble and I'm going on and on and on and I'm pacing back and forth. And it's just like, I remember showing you one of my earlier presentations where I had this like 5 foot.
Yeah, like the triangle.
It's just the whole time for no reason. And you taught me a lot about, how to move on stage too. Perhaps you have a tip related to, movement, which I think is a big problem, especially people when they get nervous.
Yeah, I mean, you have the whole stage. You have an entire stage, or even in a like an office building, you're not just lodged into one square. It's not like you're like standing on a landmine, and if you leave it, you know what I mean? Like,
Question: what if you have a podium?
Yeah.
And that's where like everybody else spoke.
Yeah, get away from the podium.
Get away from the podium.
Yeah, I mean, if it's possible, get away from the podium.
Okay.
Yeah, the podium is a big sign that just puts distance between you and your audience. Like that's what it is.
I mean, it's a literal thing that you're putting between them.
Yeah. And you want to make it more interactive. You're like serving your audience. When the heck in life does that happen where there's a podium? So it's crazy. Like I go to companies all the time. I walk in, big podium, all the way to the side. So think about how weird that is.
It's not even in the middle.
It's not even in the middle. They're like, well, here's where you set up. I'm like, okay, can I move this? If I can't, I literally set the computer up and I like do the best I can to balance it so I can be in the center. Because I want to be helping my audience out. That's the point.
Yeah. I've been to ones where there's a clear podium. So you can see through it, and you're standing. Like I see people standing there, and it just from the back of the room, it just looks like they're standing on the edge of the stage, like not moving at all because they're at the podium. I don't know. It's so
wait, what?
It's like a modern-looking podium, right? So it has like, it's just clear, and there's like, from the outside, it looks like the papers are floating in midair. It's just so.
This is like one of those futuristic things they would like show. Some like Jodie Foster's president of the United States, and that's her podium.
Right,
like that.
Right. And there's like a tiny mic that's kind of coming out of that. Okay, so those were a couple tips. Maybe one other tip for when you're up there on stage to help engage with the audience.
Yeah, I mean, this is like my biggest thing overall, and this is where I feel like I'm proudest of you is having fun. So your audience doesn't know what you're supposed to say. You maybe wrote a script or you created an outline, but your audience doesn't know what you're supposed to say. The only person in the world who would judge you against the outline is yourself.
Yeah.
So a lot of us are sitting there like, what did I write down on that piece of paper 3 weeks ago?
You're like, I forgot to say that one thing.
Right, I forgot to say that one thing. But nobody, like, you're the only one who's judging yourself against that. The more that you free yourself from that and have fun with it, that's when magic happens. Here's the deal. Like, the audience will follow whatever emotions that you put out there. Mm-hmm. So if you say you're nervous, the audience will be nervous. If you appear to be having fun, the audience will be having fun. If you're funny, the audience will laugh. So we want to lead the audience that way. I think the mentality for most of us is the opposite. So the audience will laugh, and then that gives me permission to have a personality. No, They have your personality first.
Yeah.
And when you put all these things together, like something that's really cool that happens is you start finding ways to put your personality into the talk. I think when most of us start, we try to be somebody else. We try to be somebody who's perfect. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't do that. Be yourself. Like, if you're fun, be fun. If you're a data geek, find a way to put data in the presentation. Like, it has to be fun, but find a way to put data in the presentation. There's one of my favorite TED Talks. This woman, Amy Webb, total data geek. She talks about computer dating, and she walks you through the data journey she went on. Uh-huh. Like, she figured out a way to do that. So the more that you can put your personality in there, like, those are the speeches that people love. There's a guy named A.J. Jacobs. I don't know if you know him or not. He's like the goofiest guy. So he read the entire Encyclopedia Britannica and gave a book report on it. Like, he read the whole thing. Anyway, like, A.J. Jacobs' point is total nerd. Uh-huh. He gets up on stage. He's a nerd. But he's like an endearing nerd. He does all the stuff that structurally I would be like, well, you say too much, or like your hands are too T-Rexy. But he's like, right, but he does, but he's in character. That's who he is.
Yeah.
The audience gravitates towards that.
And that's him. That's
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the biggest tip is just be yourself and be comfortable with who you are.
Yeah.
And, sure, there may be people who are just like, I don't like that style, but why would you want people to like people other than you?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So that's great. So do you
And
think?
then, like, you know what? Here's a more concise way of saying it. Be the you are at a cocktail party. Maximum one drink.
So let loose a little bit.
Yeah.
But don't go overboard.
But yeah, not like, because sometimes I've told people that, like, I get wasted. I'm like, okay, well, that's not what we want.
Yeah.
Like a drink. That's the you we want there.
I like that.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Mike, thank you so much.
Can I do one more?
Yeah, let's do another one.
Yeah,
dude.
because that'll be 7.
Is that like?
And this is like in between.
So this is another tip, like over delivering.
Yeah, this is over. Okay, this is what I talked about. Like, you should get nervous sometimes in life.
Yeah.
I got married about 3 years ago. And I wasn't, the weeks leading up to the wedding, like, I wasn't that nervous. Like, everybody's like, you're nervous, you're making a big commitment. And I wasn't that nervous. And then we did the walkthrough the day before. So I got married May 24th. Yeah, the rehearsal. So I got married May 24th, May 23rd. And like, when we're about to walk down the aisle, that's when I got the, like, oh my God.
Like,
it's
gonna
happening.
happen.
Yeah. I remember I took a picture, put it on Instagram, looked at it later that night. I was like, oh my God, like, I'm getting married tomorrow. But then I had another thought because, I'm a presentation nerd. This is what I was thinking about. I'm like, a lot of people I work with, we go through 1,000 iterations of the speech and obsess about the slides and this and that, and they never rehearse. And yet, these are presentations that matter. It could be a pitch where there's like,
And by rehearse, you mean actually going through the motions?
Yeah. Like speaking it out loud, maybe into a mirror, maybe amongst colleagues, but actually speaking it out loud. Mm-hmm. I'm like, there are like $1 million deals that are on the table and people don't rehearse. And today, I rehearsed, because rehearsing for your wedding, what are you rehearsing? I rehearsed walking, standing, kissing. And I did it like 5 times. Why in the world? And like, there's no way for that to go wrong. Like, what would be the worst that could happen? Like, I walked to the wrong spot. Like, there's no way for it to go wrong. And we run through it like 5 times because we know it matters.
Yeah.
And then we get to presentations. And these things matter. It could be career defining. And we're like, oh, I'll just be okay when I get out there. I have an outline. Like, why in the world would you do that? Do not let, like, the first time the words escape your mouth, do not let that be on stage.
Mm. So rehearse.
And
That is something that I can speak from experience that helps a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it. Hey, where can people follow up with you? I mean, I think you have some stuff that you want to show people if they want to get sort of more inspiration on speaking.
Yeah, totally. So Twitter, I'm MPAC, at MPAC, MPACC.
Okay.
Company I work for is Duarte, Duarte, and then MikePacchione.com.
Sweet. We'll have all the links in the description below. Thanks again for watching this. Good luck on your presentation. Thanks again, Mike.
Thanks, Pat.